So as for the hamburger menu, which make it that when my page is smaller, this appear and then close, we would need a couple of extra CSS and a JavaScript because this kind of interaction is complex. It requires scripting because there's more than just movement into it. So let's go and try that. So I gave you the script that you can just copy and paste in your index.html in your home page. Here, for instance, we will paste usually the script just before the end of the page so that it'll load all the pages, the browser load all the pages, and then at the runtime, it load the script. I will need the script, of course, in both of my pages because both of my pages will be using this script. So for small script, it's nice to do it that way. Otherwise, you can go in the head and do a link and load a JavaScript from external files. So there's both that. If we look at the script, what does it said? Well, it require a hamburger menu button class. And then it just said that when it's clicked, well, I go to menu deploy class and I load the menu deploy class. So I will need both of them class, and I will need my hamburger menu all kind of program in advance so that it is like when my page load at big, the hamburger menu is there, but it's just hidden. It's hidden, and then when it is small, it appears. So it's display none, and then it's displayed. And then when I click on it, what I can see is I have some item them and I have a button there. So I need both of those to be there right from the start, but to be triggered only from my media query when it is small. So let's see how could we do that. So first, in my next to my menu here in my navigation, I have my 3 pages. So I will somewhere in there, I will go and create a button here. So in my navigation menu, just let's say just at the start of menu 1, because it's on top of that, I'll go and I'll create this button class here, and as my script said close menu, I'll go with close menu here, and let's say here, and then close it, and then spread a little bit here. So where's my ampersand times, and this will be my special character for my hamburger menu that will load my 3 arrow like that. So I have my my menu that it's here, and now let's go in the CSS to trigger that. I also need the hamburger menu itself before I go into CSS. So that's just like the it's just like the 3 lines that make the hamburger menu. But I'll also need a new division that will load like on top of my menu in some sort. Like it's still in the navigation because it's part of the navigation, but it's different. It's another class. It's another div. So hamburger menu, because it's there on the script. VS Code know that it's there because it's there right on the script. See, hamburger menu, it's right there. So it's on my document object models and Badoo, it's there. So I just call it I call it in a div, and then another button. Why I use the button object could be a div, but it's great to use with JavaScript. And it's automatically know that it's a link and that it needs to be triggered. And then I'll go and I load span class here, and I'll go FA, and I'll go FA bars to have my bars. FA bars, it was there, bars here to have my hamburger bars. There we go. And I save that. So now you know that this is there and this is there. And I can just go and format all of my CSS for those one. So let's see, how could we do that? Better off if I explain the code already written and you follow with me with your own code, because there's quite a few things here. So yeah, okay, so regarding the hamburger menu, we're always in the hamburger menu. We created the CSS here, and we have the HTML here on my left. So we have few items that we had to our code. We had close menu, we have hamburger menu, and we have FA bars. We want them to be hidden at first and then to be revealed when my page shrank. So first, I'm gonna go ahead in my code and I'm gonna show you how did I do that. So I have my hamburger menu that showed just here. So as you see, at first it's display none, but still, even if it's display none, I am giving him style. I say it will be aligned center, it will justify center. This will be my hamburger menu. And then the button here, the button in the hamburger menu, well, I want it gray. I want no border because it's not nice to have a border around the button. And I want it gray. This you can change later on if you want. And then the bar themselves, the 3 bars, the hamburger menu. I want the cursor pointer because I want when my arrows goes on top of it, I want a pointer. And 2.5 EM, this is the size of it. Of course, if you want your hamburger menu to be bigger, you increase that, smaller, you decrease that. And then the close menu, this is the little X. I don't want it to be displayed at first. If I want to increase the size or decrease the size, this is where I could go. So this is it for my CSS on normal state. And then when it jump and it goes to smaller, so like mobile version of it, there we go here. If I go in mobile version, I increase the size of mobile version for the purpose of this workshop. You can put it at 480 if you want like standard size. 780 work fine also because there's no computer really that is 780. So my close menu is there, and now I just continue the styling in the mobile version. So okay, so it's display as a block. Now before it was display none. Now it's displayed as a block. It's an absolute position, so it's just like whatever the flow is on my page, it's stand there. That here allow me to have my close menu on top of everything that is behind the page. Then those are the margin and the color of my close menu. Again, if you want to have a close menu, the little X bigger, you can have the size here. You could also have it up. And then the button, yes, okay, so no white, no background on it. Hamburger menu, I want the hamburger menu to be displayed in a flex manner here. So whatever I put in display, if it's not none, it will show up, you know. And this is all of my styling for my menu deployed, the one that will be on top of it. Oh, one more here. So the one that will be deployed on top of my page. This is my whole hamburger menu that just populate. I want it to display as a flex box. I added important because this is something that you may add if you test something and there's a bug. You just add important and the browser say, okay, you really want that. And then, you know, flex direction, column, center, and all that. This is, let me show you what it does right now. Okay, so right now I have nothing when it's in like computer size, and when I 780, poof, then my 3 bars populate. If I click on them, this is my menu deployed. This is the whole page that it's there here. See here, click, it populate here. So my old page is there, and this is my menu deployed. So I want my element to be displayed in a column manner. I want them center. I want them center vertically, horizontally. I want this thing to take all of the page. So with 100% height, 100% of the viewport height. Viewport height, because the height could be kind of tricky in CSS. If you go with viewport height, it's better. And then as a position, it is fixed, right? Because it just take all the page. We're talking about the whole element. and we go background color white, of course, because I want white. I don't want to see my page on the back of it. And Z index, well, 11,000, and just whatever the number is, I just want a big number so that everything is behind the page here. And then my menu one, this was, you know, here, my menu, remember, when it is small, I just don't want it. So I say, you don't display, you're in display none. You are fixed, so you're just not there. And then because I want this thing here to be transformed, and so I just put all of the thing that is there. And then menu 1A, color gray. This is my old navigation because everything is still in my navigation, right? So yeah, so I want my navigation to be in that size here. Those are my navigation item stories series about. I want them to be in a flex manner. I want it to be in a column manner. So those are the things that I put in my navigation. And yeah, so this is basically my CSS for my hamburger menu, so that it works whenever I click on my button. So main thing to remember here is, even if I have stuff that I trigger from a script, I need them to be loaded in the computer version of my website, and then trigger and load in the CSS here. Let's take care of that image grid now. So we have that image grid here. Of course, it was a very complicated, like masonry grid in computer version, but when in jump into mobile version, we just want one simple layout like that. Don't bother with the bottom text being like that, because after with the script of text over image, it will take all of the height. So what do we do for that? Well, simply we just go here and we said, okay, so books, which is the whole grid. Now you have only 2 columns. Grid template columns, auto then transforms it into 2 columns with a small gap. You could customize that whatever you want. No padding, and yes, and with 100% row dense. Well, it helps sometimes to create, like sometimes when there's a lot of stuff so that it fit in the page. And then see this other rules here, book class. I want all of my EM class, CIM class, it was applied to all of my image class. So instead of saying image 1, image 2, image 3, image 5, this state that every class that start by IM, you know, so this is the way we want the grid column to be automatic. So that overruled the whole thing that we had here. See, we had a lot of stuff here. We could have just go like image grid start, grid end on all of the image, but this phrasing allow us to say, you know what, everything that start with IM just go automatically in 1 column, and then since it's 2 column, it fits, it override the whole thing. See, and the height is auto, and it covers, so like that it doesn't go bigger than what the image is. We want the figure to be 0 margin. That's important because by default the figure have a margin. So when we say figure margin 0, well, it have no margin. Like on the computer side, it's not that much of a problem, but on mobile sides it could do a difference. And then this is the grid. That's it. And then for my second pages, if I want my second pages to look the same, well, of course, I will have to say story left grid column 1 3 and story right grid column 1 3. So like that, you know, my images do the whole pages and my text do the whole pages. Goes without saying that, of course, in that pages too, to have the menu, I had to paste the navigation. I had to paste what I did in the index. I had to do the same thing in my story 1 pages. Could be nice to have like active CSS so that the pages on which I am just display here. lots of formatting, you just go format your H2 there, but you get the gist of it. I can have like margin bottom here. So but you get the gist of how to create this page and have this mobile version of your pages working. Next, we're gonna introduce the CSS animation to that. In order to have that hover text that we want here, so for the moment we have text underneath, and we would like the text to be displayed when we hover the different images. Of course, on computer version, because on cell phone it doesn't detect when my thumbs is over the images, so that will be only for computer. So yeah, so I have here a class that's called hover text. This was on purpose because yes, I knew that I will gonna be using that to have my hover text first not display. So hover text here, and then I will like display none, right? Because I don't want to I don't want it to show at first. So right away it will boop, it's not there. And then as I told you earlier, like the whole image, the image will be like flush because now the text is not pushing over them. So, okay, so now my images, my text is not displaying. If I wanted to display, this is the trick. It's not just the hover text that I should trigger. I should trigger the whole figure, right? So I should go the whole path. So it's like books, right? Figure. Yes, I want the figure, and I want to hover. When I hover them and the hover text, now display equal block. As I told you, display block just to say that it's there and it's not like on the same line of the image. So basically, this is how we do it to hide and reveal something in hover without JavaScript. This is just like CSS. Now, maybe we would like the text to be on top of the image. Remember, like if I don't give any specific position to an element, it will be static and it could just be one on one line. So if I wanted to have a special position, I will have to go position and then absolute. This will allow my text to be on top of my image. Let's see what we have here. See here, okay. Now it's absolute. It doesn't move, okay. It doesn't push the image. It's on top of it. Now, if I want to offset it, then I'll just go with, it's not margin, it's just bottom because it's absolute position. So let's say bottom 30 pixels, and so now it's bottom 30 pixel from that here. Left, let's put something on the left. Let's put 10 pixels here. Okay, here left 10 pixels. Now, yeah, let's go with some background color. Yeah, no, background color. Let's go with gray. I don't know, gray. And then you'll customize, So I have that. Now it's not pretty because it's too flush to the text. So in order to have my text squeeze in the middle and to have some air around, I need some padding. Let's say 8 pixels. Let's see how it goes here. Yeah. And it's quite squarey. So let's have a let's have a border radius. Border radius of 10 pixels here. Yeah, what is it? Yeah, so stuff, you could like that. You could go with a background color that is slightly transparent. If you put something like that instead of gray, if I go and I have a background color that is semi-transparent like that, it will go like 70% here. And then of course I will need to change the color of my text, which will be just color here and white here, and you could just go on and stylize your hover text the way you really want. Now, if I want my text to show here my text is showing very quick, like there, not there, there, not there, there, not there. If I would like a transition, well, that exists in CSS. This is CSS3. So that exists in CSS and it's called CSS transition. So we will not have display none anymore. We'll rather have opacity at 0. Okay, so it's the same. All right, so at first my text is not there. Instead of display none, it's opacity 0. So that allow me to take this this character, because display none is just like display none and then display block. There's no like transition to be applied there. Opacity, it could go to like 0, 0.1, 0.2, 0, you see. So I can add a transition to opacity. So whenever I go transition, and then I will say, okay, I would like a transition of what? I would like a transition of opacity. So opacity here, yes. And I would like that to be 0.3 second. And I will like the ease make it smooth, make the movement smooth. And so then that being said, this is like I initiate my transition. Okay, my transition is there on the tag, and then on the hover tag where I will be hovering. What will happen while I'll be hovering? Well, the opacity will be 1, and that's it. You know, it's like, see, there's this little transition that makes everything look nicer on my hover spot, and you can apply that to anything, anything in your pages. So let's do that with our images. So we just have to find our images. We have a rule here for the text, but let's do that for our images. So I'll just start with that, but instead of over text, I'll go with images. So that will target all of the images that are in my book grid. And then let's go with, for instance, I'll try to see with another transition here. So, sorry, transition, yes, transition, not to transform yet. So, yes, so let's go with transition. And let's say that it will transform, because there's not just opacity, there's transform. And whenever you kind of invoke transform, well, then you can change a lot of different property like scale and skew, and yeah, I'll show you. So transform 0.3 second and with ease. And then you could also couple up with other thing. Let's say I want my image to be bigger, like in 0.3 second, but I also want my image to have some sort of opacity play. So I will just like, yeah, I'll just go opacity 0.3, yes, sec and ease. Okay, so I have here in my transition, I change the transform and I change the opacity. Now, let's this was not in the hover. This was just in the image, because it's where I will be starting. So book figure image. Let's go transition and that. And now after that, I'll create another rule, which now will be a hover here. Okay, so whenever I hover those images, this here, what are the exact thing that I want to do with transform? Okay, so then transform. Okay, what is my transformation? I could go with perspective, I could go with rotate, I could go, you know, there's stun, everything here. Once you got the gist of it, you can go with anything. 1.05, for instance. This will be, it will be like a little bit bigger, slightly bigger, and opacity, because here I have opacity. So let's say opacity here, my opacity will be 0.9 at the end. Okay, so yeah, so my images are here, but whenever I over them, see, they kind of they become bigger, and they become like with less opacity. Just to give a conclusion on that tutorial, you could add lots of things to those CSS transform. There's also filter. You know, if I go filter, I like a little bit like Photoshop filter, in the sense I see you have like blur, brightness, contrast, drop shadow. You have a lot of different filter. Let's say I go with a slight blur of 2 pixels here when I'm hovering the image. So whenever, like, if I'm adding like this characteristic here, and I want them to transition, well, instead of just transform, I'll go all. You know, so yeah, that's it. And let me just remove that, because since I am transitioning the whole thing, it will be transitioning with the with the whole thing. The opacity will be transformed. The whole thing would be transformed into this simple formula where I go transition all and with ease, and I could change, like, let's say I put 1 second just to show you like how it could be like slow here, transition all here. And so yes, there we go. You have your transition, you have your transformation, you have your filter. You can customize the whole thing with CSS transition, CSS animation over your pages in that page.